Hold on. Don't move.
There.
I know. Don't move.
I don't want to die.
We're going to take care of you, okay?
Thanksgiving is a day reserved for gratitude, family, and joy. A time to gather with loved ones and reflect on blessings. But for the Merhige family of Jupiter, Florida, Thanksgiving 2009 would become a day marred by horror. A holiday feast, filled with laughter and celebration, ended in unimaginable tragedy as 35-year-old Paul Michael Merhige carried out a meticulously planned massacre that left 4 of his family members dead. In this video, we'll explore the events leading up to that fateful evening, the shocking details of the murders, and the lasting impact on those left behind. The Merhige family Thanksgiving. The Sittons' home in Jupiter, Florida, was a warm and welcoming place, especially on Thanksgiving. Carol and Jim Sitton, a well-loved couple in their community, had opened their doors to extended family to celebrate the holiday. Among the attendees were Paul Michael Merhige, his parents Michael and Muriel, his twin sisters Carla and Lisa, his aunt Raymonda Joseph, and other family members. The evening was filled with the usual festivities. The family shared a traditional Thanksgiving meal, enjoyed music, and reflected on the blessings in their lives. 6-year-old Michaela Sitton, Jim and Carol's daughter, delighted everyone by singing and playing the piano, a talent she had been nurturing with her parents' support. Amid the happiness, no one suspected the dark intentions lurking beneath Paul Merhige's calm exterior. The troubled life of Paul Merhige. Paul Merhige was a man burdened by lifelong mental health struggles. Despite growing up in a wealthy, privileged family, Paul had always been a source of concern. His academic achievements in high school and attendance at the University of Miami were overshadowed by his increasingly erratic behavior as he grew older. Paul's paranoia and deep-seated anger isolated him from his family and the outside world. He'd held grudges against his siblings, particularly his twin sisters Carla and Lisa, whom he believed were responsible for his shortcomings. Over time, these resentments turned into obsessions, and Paul began planning what he called his Day of Reckoning. The Premeditated Attack. The decision to invite Paul to Thanksgiving was not without hesitation. Family members were aware of his troubled past and strained relationships, but they extended an invitation in the spirit of family unity, unaware that Paul had been meticulously planning the massacre for weeks. In the weeks leading up to Thanksgiving, Paul purchased a firearm and ammunition, withdrawing cash to ensure he could evade authorities after carrying out his plan. His actions were calculated, methodical, and chillingly deliberate. The Massacre. As the Thanksgiving evening wound down, family members gathered in the living room to relax and enjoy Michaela's piano performance. It was during this serene moment that Paul struck. Without warning, Paul retrieved a handgun he had concealed and began shooting his unsuspecting family members. His first targets were his twin sisters, Carla and Lisa. The years of resentment he harbored toward them came to a horrific climax as he shot them at close range. Next, Paul turned the gun on his 76-year-old aunt, Raymonda Joseph, who was sitting nearby. Raymonda had been nothing but kind to Paul throughout his life, yet he showed no mercy. The most heart-wrenching moment of the evening came when Paul turned his gun on 6-year-old Michaela Sitton. As the innocent child played the piano, Paul shot and killed her, extinguishing a bright light in the family and community. Jim Sitton, Michaela's father, later recounted the horrifying moments leading up to her death. He pleaded with Paul to spare his daughter, but Paul, cold and emotionless, carried out his plan without hesitation. By the time the massacre ended, 4 family members lay dead, and 2 others were critically injured. The aftermath. Chaos and grief consumed the Sitton home in the wake of the shooting. Surviving family members frantically called 911, while others attempted to render aid to the victims. The reality of what had just occurred was too much for many to process. Paul fled the scene in his car, leaving his family to grapple with the devastation he had caused. law enforcement immediately launched a nationwide manhunt. But Paul had taken steps to cover his tracks. The manhunt. Paul's escape was no impulsive act. He had planned it as meticulously as the murders themselves. Using cash he had withdrawn in advance, Paul evaded capture for over a month. Authorities tracked his movements, but were initially unable to pinpoint his exact location. The media played a crucial role in the search. Paul's face and story were broadcast across the country, and tips from the public poured in. One such tip led law enforcement to a motel in the Florida Keys on January 2, 2010. Paul had been hiding there under a false name, attempting to live off the grid. When police surrounded the motel, Paul surrendered without incident. His capture marked the end of a 6-week-long manhunt, but was only the beginning of the legal process. The legal proceedings. Paul Merhige faced multiple charges, including 4 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. Prosecutors sought the death penalty, arguing that the killings were premeditated and heinous in nature. During the legal proceedings, Paul showed little remorse for his actions. His defense team highlighted his long history of untreated mental illness, using it as a mitigating factor. However, the overwhelming evidence of his planning and intent left little room for doubt. In 2011, Paul pleaded guilty to all charges in exchange for a life sentence without the possibility of parole. The plea spared the surviving family members from enduring the trauma of a trial, but offered little solace for their loss. The legacy of the victims. The Sitton family and other surviving relatives have worked tirelessly to honor the memories of those lost in the massacre. Michaela's parents established a Michaela Joy Sitton Foundation to celebrate her love for music and her kind, compassionate spirit. The foundation provides scholarships for young musicians and supports community programs that promote creativity and kindness. Carla and Lisa were remembered as loving sisters and devoted family members. Their deaths underscored the devastating consequences of unresolved family conflicts and untreated mental illness. Raymond's loss was deeply felt by all who knew her. She was a beloved aunt and a kind-hearted woman who brought joy to those around her. Understanding the tragedy. The Thanksgiving family massacre remains a haunting example of how mental illness, unresolved anger, and easy access to firearms can lead to unthinkable violence. While Paul Merhige's actions were his alone, they highlight systemic issues that must be addressed to prevent similar tragedies. Paul's untreated mental health issues played a significant role in his actions. His paranoia and deep-seated resentment festered for years, ultimately driving him to commit murder. This case underscores the importance of recognizing and addressing warning signs in individuals struggling with mental illness. Paul's ability to purchase a firearm despite his history of mental instability raises critical questions about gun laws in the United States. Advocates for stricter regulations argue that more comprehensive background checks and mental health screenings could prevent tragedies like this. The community's response. The massacre sent shockwaves through the town of Jupiter, Florida. Friends, neighbors, and strangers came together to support the grieving families and honor the victims. Vigils were held, and tributes poured in from across the country. The Sittons, in particular, became outspoken advocates for change. Jim Sitton has used his platform to promote awareness about mental health issues and the importance of family communication. The Thanksgiving Family Massacre is a story of unimaginable loss and betrayal. It's a grim reminder that even on days meant for celebration, darkness can strike without warning. For the Merhige and Sitton families, Thanksgiving will never be the same. A day that once symbolized gratitude now serves as a painful reminder of what they lost. As we reflect on this tragedy, let us remember the victims, Carla, Lisa, Raymond, and Michaela, and strive to create a world where such horrors are less likely to occur. If you found this story compelling, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Share this video to help raise awareness about the importance of mental health, family support, and violence prevention. Together, we can honor the memories of the victims by working toward a safer and more compassionate world.